Is this what you want? This fucking foliage? Is this what you want? Mr. Dips? Is this what you want? Me standing in front of EC3 buying designer coats? Is this what you want? Me sitting in some hipster hotel in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, fluffing pillows? Is this what you want? I don't believe this. This graffiti art, the hotels, avocado toast. All I want is a fucking Guinness. An ice cold Guinness. What the hell does that mean? Oh, this is what you wanted. This is your Monday Night Raw review right here on Off the Script. I sit in an empty room. Kind of echoey as well. Or maybe I just hear myself in my headphones. But I sit in an empty room. Nothing on the wall. This empty room reminds me of what I watched tonight on Monday Night Raw. Empty. Absolutely empty, folks. I don't know what you guys watched. I don't know how you feel. But I'm here to tell you, man, Bruce, this ain't it, bro. This ain't it. I don't know what's going on in the WWE, nor do I care. They want to act like the CV-19 doesn't exist, yet you want to put on shows. Then people want to use the excuse, oh, well, they didn't have a full roster. They're only working with half of the roster on Monday night. Blow me. That's what I have to tell you. I do not want to hear your excuses. This ain't it, Bruce. This ain't it. Monday Night Raw, folks. Man, it's just a struggle to get through. Every single podcaster in the community on social media tonight, on Twitter, was saying the same exact thing. If you weren't, I am genuinely concerned for your mental health. That's all I'm saying. Every podcaster in the community was saying the same exact thing. This show is absolutely insufferable to sit through. I can't do it. People falling asleep. People not staying awake throughout the entire show. People saying that they're not watching at all. People saying that I can't do this at the end of the night. I can't go more than 60 minutes. I believe Don Tony was saying something about not going over 60 minutes. If he did, he's shutting his computer down. That's how bad Monday Night Raw has become. That's how bad SmackDown has been. That's how bad the WWE product is currently right now. Awful. Awful. And they got some balls, man. It's like they're trolling you. They know it's bad. They know their own product sucks. And they got this Extreme Rules show coming up 2 weeks from Sunday, and they're labeling it the horror show. Folks, I don't know what you're thinking about that tagline. Them and their fucking taglines. The horror show has been a tagline for as long as, I would say, about the last 6 or 7 years on Monday Night Raw. Absolutely a horror show spanning the last 3 years. Awful. Absolutely awful. Monday Night Raw tonight from the Performance Center, as always, COVID included. Raw tonight featured a double contract signing for title matches scheduled at the horror show. All the participants will be in the ring at the same time, says WWE. That doesn't make it better, but we'll see what happens. Contract signing will be hosted by Samoa Joe, one of the few personalities on this show that I actually genuinely like. One contract will be signed for the Raw Women's Championship, with Asuka defending her title against Sasha Banks at the horror show. And Asuka, as we all know, recently defended her title against both Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair. She's not hurt, by the way. Elective surgery. Elective surgery. Just want to make sure you guys are aware why she's out. Banks, obviously, one half, who she wants to be. I was going to say SmackDown Women's Champion. She wants to be, and she will be, if the story writes itself in the right way. Bruce! One half of the Women's Tag Team Champions. She's picked up wins over the past several weeks, including retaining the titles with Bayley against the Idiotics. I didn't flip the channel tonight. Guy Fieri wasn't on. So they beat the Iconics, and then it was revealed that Asuka would be challenged by Sasha Banks, and that's what's happening at the Horror Show for the Raw Women's Championship. We got Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, which, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, man, why this is happening. I don't know. Maybe we should ask Bruce. Bruce Logic Gap Pritchard. Maybe this is part of his strategic plan for Monday night. So that's going to be signed as well. Ziggler, as you guys know if you watched last week, more than likely you didn't, Ziggler was traded to Raw with Bobby Roode for AJ Styles. So instead of putting them in the tag team division, WWE said, you know what, we'll give Dolph Ziggler his token championship match, and we'll get Drew into SummerSlam where he could lose it to the Beast once again. And then WWE could go back to their old formula of nobody watching, period, with Brock Lesnar as the WWE champion. Also, Apollo Crews tonight, he was going one-on-one in a non-title affair against MVP, the Viking Raiders versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Akira Tozawa would be defending the 24/7 championship. Why? Again, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know why this fucking thing is still on TV. So he defended that against R-Truth. And the Big Show. The Big Show, folks. Let me tell you this. The Big Show had 4 fucking segments on Monday Night Raw tonight. This is not Monday Night Raw from 1999. This is Monday Night Raw from 2020. The Big Show had 4 fucking segments on tonight's show. Bruce, is this a part of your strategic plan to make Monday Night Raw better than what Paul Heyman had planned for Monday Night Raw? I'd love to know. Because if your vision includes Big Show, I don't think anybody wants to be a part of your vision of Monday nights. And Ric Flair, COVID included, they don't take COVID to be seriously. Rick, come on out. Come on out, Rick. You're the next contestant on COVID is Right. Awful. This show sucks. This show sucks. I don't know what else to tell you guys, man. I don't want to sit here and act all sarcastic. Oh, yeah, I do. I don't want to sit here and act the way I am now. I want to be happy. I want to talk about things that I enjoyed, and I just can't. If I did, I would be lying to myself. I can't do that. This show sucks. In fact, I hope I'll be waiting with bated breath tomorrow afternoon when Brian Alvarez puts the Raw rating out, and they're still below it too. I guess that'll be a part of Bruce Pritchard's strategic plan for Monday Night Raw. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me here on the podcast. It is, what's today's date? I don't even know anymore, man. June 29th, 2020, here on the podcast. This is Off the Script. I am JD. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you for a great weekend of Off the Script. Some of you actually reached out to me on all forms of social media, Instagram, Twitter, in the comments section. You guys loved Off the Script this weekend, and I was busy. 5 hours plus of audio and video content for episode 332. Some of you actually saying it was the best Off the Script of the entire year. So thank you guys so very much for that. If you missed parts 1, 2, and 3, there was a very rare part 3 on Sunday. Go and check all of that out. Links will be in the description down below for Off the Script this past weekend. Go and check that out if you did miss any of it. We cover all the COVID news. We talk about Tessa Blanchard. We talk about literally everything spanning the big and embarrassing week that was WWE. SmackDown, AEW, and last week's stuff is also down there as well. So go and check any of that stuff out if you did miss any of those podcasts. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys for live tweeting with me tonight. If you want to show some support, Patreon is always open for you guys. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And if you guys, I would love it if you can hit that thumbs up and subscribe down below for the number one podcast in the IWC, and that is Off the Script. Also, guys, I would love, and I know there are some people who actually prefer the audio over the video content. We are on iTunes, we are on Google Play, we're on Podbean, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on all of those audio platforms. I pay attention most to the iTunes charts and the iTunes statistics because I'm an Apple guy and Apple podcasts are really big and they really get the content creator known, especially in the audio format of the podcast. We right now are near a 5-star rated podcast on iTunes. And the ratings actually are the number one determining factor in moving up the charts. Right now, we're kind of borderline in the top 30 pro wrestling podcasts in the entire United States. If you guys actually have an Apple device and you listen through iTunes, I would love if you go and leave a 5-star rating on the podcast. I would actually shout you guys out on the next Off the Script episode that I do here on the channel. I'll read your comment. I'll shout you out. So I want to make that a regular thing. So if you guys can go and do that for me, I would really appreciate it. So I'll leave the link for the iTunes version of the podcast down below in the description of this very video. So thank you guys so very much for all of that. Let's get right into the Monday Night Raw show that was tonight from the Performance Center. Show opened up immediately. I didn't know what was going on. They opened up immediately with Sasha Banks and Bayley fighting with Asuka. I was going to say Sasha and Bayley fighting, but Sasha Banks and Bayley fighting with Asuka in the ring. Samoa Joe was there, moderating the entire thing. He attempted to restore order for this contract signing. Several referees came to the ring and separated all of the wrestlers involved here. Joe then formally introduced the show and welcomed everybody to Monday Night Raw. He said they were planning to have a contract signing, at which point Asuka and Sasha broke into a fight again. Joe told the referees to separate them. Dolph Ziggler then came out to his entrance theme. He said Drew McIntyre is going to be champion for only a few more weeks. Then he called him to the ring. So we got everybody out there in the two big title matches at the Horror Show 2 weeks from Sunday. So we got Ziggler and Sasha sitting on one side, and we got Asuka and Drew McIntyre sitting on the other, separating the heels and the baby faces. Ziggler spoke about giving everything he has to the WWE for 15 years. He said he'd still do what he does best by surviving. Ziggler said Drew's 19-year-old redemption story would disappear just like that at Extreme Rules. He signed the contract. McIntyre immediately signed the contract. He said that he was quite the impassioned with the speech that he just gave. But the fact of the matter is he's going to slaughter Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules. He told Ziggler that Ziggler is the only one who thinks he has a chance to beat him. He said since they're family, he's going to let Ziggler choose the stipulation for their match. Before Ziggler could respond, Asuka took the microphone, began yelling in Japanese. She signed her contract. Sasha then said, once Extreme Rules is finished, she and Bayley will be double champions. She will take over the locker room with Bayley. Not only the locker room, but the entire damn company. Sasha did not sign the contract. She stamped the motherfucker with a legit boss ink stamper. So that was that. That was pretty cool. So we got Bayley then just kind of throwing shit at Asuka here, being a nice little instigator as Bayley. Bayley said, it will be a horror show. Oh, well, we are well beyond that, Bayley. Don't worry about that. Then everyone started fighting. Again, Drew went for a Claymore kick on Ziggler. Ziggler ducked and rolled out of the ring. Drew and Asuka stood together in the ring as the heels retreated away from the ringside area. This was relatively quick. This was relatively formulaic. As always, these things are announced and you kind of know which way they're going to go. And then at the end of all of this, it set up, obviously, what was going to be the main event of the show, and that was indeed a mixed tag team match in the main event of Raw. Drew McIntyre and Asuka against Sasha Banks and Dolph Ziggler, the baby faces versus the heels. Now, my initial reaction to this was, who the fuck is going to lose this thing? Who is going to lose this thing? Drew clearly cannot lose. Asuka clearly cannot lose. Sasha clearly cannot lose. Dolph Ziggler, fuck him. Clearly can't lose. That was my initial reaction to Dolph Ziggler. Fuck him. There's one guy that I want to see lose here. It's Dolph Ziggler, but he is the challenger. He cannot look weak. WWE has to make him look somewhat believable here. So who takes the loss? Is WWE booking themselves into a corner? Or is this a situation where WWE just doesn't give a shit? They'll give you an ending and they won't make any sense of it, and then we move on from here as if tonight never happened. I'm going with that option. Absolutely, that's the fucking option. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So we move on from the contract signing, and we go right into Angel Garza and Zelina Vega with Andrade. Garza was flirting with Jessica Carr, the female referee, on Monday Night Raw. Zelina Vega and Andrade walked up. Zelina said she's the best referee. She wanted nothing to do with their antics. She walked away. In walks Charlie Caruso. Garza had a rose for her. Well, he actually had a rose for Jessica Carr. She didn't want the rose, and then he wanted to give the rose to Charlie Caruso. So she seemed jealous, did Charlie Caruso, that Garza was talking to Jessica Carr. Zelina made fun of her and the tone of her voice. Caruso asked if they win tonight, do they think they are in line for a title shot? I would assume so. But what's the point if they are paired? What is the point of them being paired then? If they win, obviously they're getting a tag team title shot. That's the whole fucking purpose of them being a team, Mrs. Caruso. Andrade said yes. Big Show then walked in for absolutely no reason. He walked in and said he is pulling rank and had something to say about Randy Orton, who wasn't there tonight. And that's happening next. So he interrupted Andrade, he interrupted Zelina, and he interrupted Angel Garza. For what? I don't know. WWE thinks they're slick. WWE thinks they're being a little bit different. They're operating outside of the norm when they do things like this. But when they do things like this, it doesn't really make sense. And as this went on through the evening, this actually did not make any sense whatsoever. So Big Show came out. He was in the ring and said he's a legend. So come try him. I would rather not. I would like for you to come and help me with a fucking raid in Destiny, but that's a different story. Maybe. Said Andrade, Garza, and Vega. Meanwhile, I say this because Big Show is a big Destiny player. If you guys don't know, he's a Hunter main. I mentioned this before. That's the only piece of information that I actually respect about the Big Show. So he's a legend. Come try him. I would rather not. Instead, Andrade, Garza, and Vega walked onto the stage. Show apologized to Zelina Vega, calling her a Smurfette. I don't know if that was supposed to be funny, but it failed. He said he's not in the mood to play. I'm not in the mood to watch The Big Show on Monday Night Raw in 2020 get 4 segments. He's not in the mood to play, though. Andrade laughed at Show, calling him a legend. Show said he put his fist in his mouth if he keeps that up, and said he has boots older than both of them. They said they are 2 of them. Show said that they need to stand on each other's shoulders just to look him in the eye. Show interrupted Garza and said, blah, 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 blah. If you want to fight, let's go. Vega said they do Orton a favor by showing what happens when you disrespect them. She said their days are numbered. But he can say hi to Edge and Christian for them when Big Show is sent to the retirement home. I love how they troll you. That's exactly where Big Show needs to be, the fucking retirement home, and not on this show taking segments away from younger talent. I don't really understand why we need the Big Show 4 times on Monday Night Raw on June 29th, 2020. I don't know who asked for that. I don't know who in the back thinks this is a good idea. I don't know who in the back thinks this is going to get viewers. I don't really understand it. I really don't. And the sad thing is there'll be somebody to justify this in the community. There'll be some fucking idiot on Twitter justifying why the Big Show is needed on WWE Raw. And those people, I am here to tell you, are the reason why the product is a failure. Plain and simple. So Ric Flair's music hit. So we got Big Show and Ric Flair in the same segment. Again. Ric Flair comes out. No mask. No mask. No COVID. COVID isn't a thing in WWE. Ric Flair's music played. And he walked out. He said he needs to have a word with his old friend, the Big Show. Now, if you guys watched Off the Script on Sunday, Ric Flair was interviewed. And he was defending his daughter. In what I thought was one of the most hilarious comments I think I'll read all year, Ric Flair said, "Who else is going to land a perfect moonsault every time off the top rope?" In regards to Charlotte Flair. Now, I don't know if Ric Flair is watching somebody else, another female performer in the WWE, but he clearly isn't watching his daughter, Charlotte Flair, when he's describing how perfect this moonsault is. Maybe he's watching Io Shirai or possibly Lacey Evans, because I know both of them do a much better version of a moonsault than Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is all legs. It's all knees. She doesn't bend. She doesn't really show you how athletic she is. It's all just ugly looking. The moonsault is ugly. So, I don't really understand why he's got to sit there and make himself look like a fool. There's one thing to brag about how great your daughter is, but then on the other side, he sounds like a fucking idiot when he's defending his daughter. Because clearly he's not watching the same Charlotte that we're watching. He must be watching an older version of Charlotte. Maybe she didn't receive the proper firmware update. I believe we're 7 updates in the future from what he's actually thinking about. I don't know. I don't really understand. Anyway, he's out there. He needs to talk to Big Show. He said, no one is going to handle his career and focus on the future of his career other than his friend, the guy with 3 letters, RKO. The greatest wrestler alive today. WWE just keeps on trolling. They keep on trolling, bro. He said he will take him on whenever he feels like it, meaning Orton will take on Big Show whenever he feels like it, but not tonight because he's home with his wife and his kids because COVID. He'll show up when he wants to. He said he will come when he feels like it. He said he's backstage right now. I doubt that's the case. I doubt that is the case because if he was, we would have seen him at least once tonight. We've seen Big Show 4 times. If Randy Orton was backstage, we would have seen him at least once. Meanwhile, we got Show 4. He's backstage right now, Flair says. He said he's going to get the job done, and he's doing his legwork right now. Meaning Flair's doing Orton's legwork right now because COVID. He said Show's been making cartoons for Netflix. He said everyone wants their spot in Hollywood, and he'll have his day, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame. And if he messes with Orton, Orton will be an even bigger legend killer, and Show will be on the outside looking in. The more Big Show is on TV, the more he will be a ratings killer. So he encouraged Vega to send Garza and Andrade at Big Show, which I'm like, no, please don't. This is going to be counterproductive if that is the case. So WWE held off on that for now, because you know they did it. The Viking Raiders came out. They didn't play basketball or golf or bowling or have a decathlon tonight. They actually showed up to wrestle. What a novel concept. So they came out. They got into a brawl on the stage. Commercial break. So we go into a tag team match. What a unbelievable concept this is, folks. Tag team wrestling on a wrestling show. Unreal. I thought I was dreaming. So we got Angel Garza and Andrade with Zelina on commentary versus the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. This one went 11 minutes. Garza attacked Eric. So we have, at this point, some back and forth between Andrade and Garza. So Andrade is there, and he's on the apron. We got, I believe, Garza working over Eric. And Andrade's on the apron, and he's looking for a tag. And Garza looks at him directly and turns around, doesn't tag him. So then Eric shoves Garza into the corner. Andrade tags himself in, and he takes care of Eric, does what he's got to do, knocks him down. Then he starts yelling at Garza on the apron. Why didn't you tag me? Why didn't you tag me? All you had to do was tag me. So he's yelling at his partner, why didn't you tag me? Why didn't you tag me? So Andrade began walking away. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm getting out of here. And Vega was like, oh my God, let me go stop this before it gets any worse. So Andrade began leaving. Vega walked up to him, calmed him down. So we had Garza on the attack against Eric again. And Ivar went for a flurry of offense here and yelled to the audience. So we got the Viking experience, which was interrupted. Andrade knocked Eric to ringside. Garza threw him into the ring post. Andrade caught Eric with his spinning back fist. It was so quick that I didn't even see him hit Eric. Garza tagged in and applied his Angel's wings or wing clipper, whatever the fuck he calls it, wing clipper for the win. And Garza and Andrade win in 11 minutes. Now, clearly Garza and Andrade were the right team to win here. Because coming from Monday Night Raw last week, it was Garza and Andrade who were kind of being groomed for the next spot against the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships. Street Profits beats the Viking Raiders last week. Out comes Garza and Andrade. And it looked like they were being set up because they were actually not on the same page. And Zelina said, you guys got to start fighting together instead of fighting each other. And then that's when that was just kind of thrown out there that they're going to be next in line for the Tag Team Championships. So I'm like, this is easy. This is academic. This is an easy creative decision. Andrade and Garza win, and they get some momentum on their way to the Tag Team title match, whenever that may be, against the Street Profits. So far, so good here. But they're still kind of not on the same page. They know they have to work together, but they're not on the same page, but they got the win here. I'll leave it at that. Does WWE leave it at that? No, they actually make these guys look like they don't belong in a tag team title picture at all. They showed a clip of Natalya beating Liv Morgan last week, which I believe on tonight's show they showed clips and pictures of the stuff that they actually cut out of the match last week. Liv Morgan tweeted WWE's official Twitter account and put them on blast and exposed them for cutting her match with Natalya last week, because they cut the match on Raw last week, yet WWE foolishly, they showed pictures of stuff that we did not see live on Raw. Liv Morgan called them out for it. Thanks for cutting my match on Raw, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So WWE looked like a bunch of fools for doing what they did, and Liv Morgan obviously caught on to it and called them out, and rightfully so. So they showed a clip of Natalya beating Liv Morgan last week with Lana and Natalya revealing their alliance. Oh my goodness, man. I'm hearing remote controls being picked up worldwide with this nice pairing here. Natalya and Lana. Then they showed a disappointed Liv Morgan talking with Ruby Riott, who's also disappointing in her own right, but not her fault, about how nothing is going her way. Nothing is going her way these days. And then she storms away, because she didn't want Ruby to make her feel any worse. Monday Night Raw makes me feel much worse every single week. We got the moronics approaching said Ruby Riott. and said she has no friends and no wins. She's a loser, said Billie Kay. It's like talking into a mirror then. Billie Kay calling someone a loser? Why don't you look at yourself, honey? Jesus Christ. Ruby said she zoned out. I'm sorry, I'm not listening to you. And they were talking, and Ruby said she's not listening to them because she was trying to remember who blew their tag team title opportunity last week against Sasha and Bayley. They said at least they have each other. At least you guys have each other. Ruby told one of them to meet her out in the ring, and the other can carry the loser to the back over her shoulder. She then antagonized them by using the iconic catchphrase by saying, and that will be moronic. Great. We got Ruby Riott on the show, which I think is great, but in the ring with one of these two losers, not so great. So you know where this is heading. Akira Tozawa with the Ninjas versus R-Truth for the 24/7 championship. I genuinely, I mean this wholeheartedly. Someone has to fill me in, please. Why is the 24/7 championship still a thing? Why is this on the show? Why is this being booked on the show? Why does anybody think this is making the show better? Who thinks it's funny by dressing Akira Tozawa up as a ninja? Who thinks it's great and funny that R-Truth is a 37-time champion for the 24/7 championship? I don't get it. I don't get it. And please don't tell me I don't have, a funny bone, or it's a joke, or why don't you laugh and lighten up, blah, 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 blah. You do realize that the entire concept of the 24/7 championship was to be stupid and silly and to be defended anywhere, anytime, in the most obscure and ridiculous places. It could be in the fucking bathroom. It could be at the rest stop at 7-Eleven. It could be on top of the fucking Slurpee machine. It could be behind the counter with the fucking 7-year-old hot dogs and the fucking 6-day-old mustard. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is. That was the whole concept. That was the whole fucking purpose of the 24/7 championship. Now WWE has gone away from that, and they're defending the championship or having the title defended by regular match means. So why is it a thing if you're moving away from its intended purpose? I don't really understand it. So why is it on TV? I certainly don't give a fuck about it. Half of the fucking people watching don't even give a shit about it. It makes the show worse. R-Truth is great. Don't get me wrong, and don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. It has nothing to do with R-Truth. It's the fucking concept of the championship. R-Truth doesn't even need a championship. He is above the championship. And again, I gotta ask, why is Akira Tozawa being belittled by dressing him up as a ninja? Did somebody watch the rerun of Ninja Turtles 1 and 2 and then get the idea to dress Akira Tozawa up in a ninja outfit? Oh, look, we got the Foot Clan. We can dress Akira Tozawa up and give him ninjas. Unreal. I guess this is also part of Bruce Pritchard's strategic plan for Monday Night Raw. 1 minute, R-Truth wins, scored a roll-up, 37-time champion. As Truth celebrated, one of the ninjas tried to pin R-Truth. He kicked out, ran away, and the chase began. That's the entire purpose of the fucking title, to be defended in that way. Yet they give us a regular match for a joke title, and then we get the chase after the match. I don't give a shit. Move the fuck on, burn it, bury it, and get rid of it. Has no purpose on the fucking show. I'm not here to laugh. I'm here to be entertained, and I'm not sports entertained, Bruce. This ain't it. Bobby Lashley was backstage. He told MVP that Cruz disrespected him last week. MVP said the offer is dead, just like his chances at keeping the United States title. Oh, the offer is dead, just like this show. The offer is dead, just like Ricochet's career in WWE. You see this shit, WWE's Twitter account for the network, the WWE Network, they post a picture of Ricochet smiling, 365 documentary on Ricochet, his incredible year, 365 documentary coming on Ricochet. What incredible year. Can someone please tell me how and where Ricochet had an incredible year? He was in the Royal Rumble. He got destroyed by Brock Lesnar in 90 seconds in February. He missed WrestleMania, wasn't even booked on the fucking show, and has been off TV for about 3 months now. After giving him somewhat of a push with Cedric Alexander in the tag team division, which they need tag teams right now, and they're not using them. So please tell me how Ricochet had an incredible year. Is this going to document his career in New Japan? Is this going to document his career in NXT? Because outside that, I have no idea how the fuck it's incredible. It's incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly sad. It's incredibly depressing. But incredible? They're just trolling you at this point. It's fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Lashley came across like he was bothered by MVP doing this to Apollo Crews. But they kind of came to an understanding. And MVP says, I just want to throw him a few gems, is what he said. And then they walked away. And then in the same scene, we seen Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, no Austin Theory, by the way, who was ousted with the speaking out movement. No idea what's happening to him. We don't know what's happening to him. We don't even know if he's going to have a job after what had happened. But obviously missing from the group was Austin Theory. They walked past Seth Rollins and Murphy. Seth said this is the most important message to date, and he has to deliver it now before they lose their chance. The most important message to date, folks. I still don't even know what the fuck this entire storyline is about. And I'm going to ask these very important questions because we're going to talk about Seth Rollins now. Seth Rollins makes his way out to the ring and said last week Rey Mysterio made his heartwarming return to Monday Night Raw and said nothing would stop him from returning to the ring. He said he believed what he said with all of his heart. He said Rey hasn't been seeing things too clearly as of late. The audience then obviously booed very annoyingly. Rey said he thinks his job is to avenge what had happened to his family. But his real duty is to sacrifice himself for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. Gonna stop right there. I need someone to tell me because I'm genuinely fucking confused. I really am. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. And I know, because I watched this show with eyes wide open, believe it or not, I just don't get it. I don't get it. First of all, this is a complete, and I mentioned this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Every single week I feel like I'm saying the same thing here. This is nothing more than a rehash feud of what Rollins and Murphy and whatever this feud was. The same thing that was going on with AOP when AOP was there. The same feud that they were having with Owens and Joe and the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. Whenever they were feuding, well back into 2019, going on into the Royal Rumble of 2020, it's the same fucking feud. The only thing that is different is that Owens and Joe are not there and the AOP are not there. He's got new backup and he's feuding with different faces. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same story about Rollins fighting for Monday Night Raw and fighting for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. Can someone please tell me what the fucking greater good of Monday Night Raw is? Can someone please tell me why Rey Mysterio needs to be sacrificed for the greater good of Monday Night Raw? Has WWE even hinted at any of these fucking questions? Have they even attempted to answer any of these questions? I am genuinely fucking pissed off now. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is I am watching. All I hear is Rollins talking. All I see is Rollins moving his fucking mouth, and I don't have any direction on where this storyline is going. What the fuck is the greater good of Monday Night Raw, and why is Rey Mysterio so important to be sacrificed for the greater good of Monday Night Raw? I would love someone to tell me the answers to those questions. Otherwise, I don't know what the fuck I'm watching. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. And if you can't give me the answer to those questions, I don't want to watch anything to do with these fucking guys anymore. Because all you're doing is giving me rematch after rematch after rematch, tag team match, singles match between all 6 guys, a mixture of combinations of singles matches between all the guys that are feuding here. Murphy versus Black, Rollins versus Black, Murphy versus Humberto. Then we got Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, Rollins versus Humberto. How many times can I sit on my couch and genuinely be intrigued by what's going on here when it's all the same shit? On top of what I just said, it's literally the same storyline back when he was feuding with Owens. The same storyline. Owens needed to be sacrificed for the greater good. Now Rey Mysterio needs to be sacrificed for the greater good. What the fuck is the greater good? What happens when he sacrifices Rey Mysterio for the greater good? What happens? Unreal. He said he's told Rey to do it on his own terms, but he has defied him at every single turn. He looked into a side camera in the ring and asked Rey to forgive him, not for what he's done in the past, but for what he's forcing him to do in the future. He said they are bound by fate, and as fate would have it, he is the Monday Night Messiah. And Rey is meant to be the sacrifice for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. He said he will tear him down little by little until there's nothing left but a memory. I wish this show was a fucking distant memory. Rey and Dominic then appeared on the big screen. Rey still wearing his one-eyed mask, selling the eye injury. Told Dominic that he loves him for fighting his battle, but he just needs to do something to Seth that is just as remorseless as what he did to him. Rey repeated the phrase, an eye for an eye. I wonder where I heard that one from. Rey said he doesn't understand, and this won't be out of hate, but by design. Dominic said he will never forget Seth. Seth then told Dominic that his father has taught him well, but one lesson he didn't teach him is to be careful what he wishes for. Seth said he may be forced to end his career before it even begins. So Aleister Black's music hits. He runs down the aisle with Humberto, Carrillo. Seth now at ringside with Murphy. He said he hoped to see them tonight. He asked why he is choosing to fight Rey's battles for him. Seth told Humberto that Rey is a coward. Humberto then told Seth that he is less of a man than Rey is. Black said he knows a thing or two about evil, so do I, Raw, and knows it when he looks at it, and he's pointing at Seth Rollins. I'm looking at it. He said there will be no forgiveness for Seth, just atonement for everything he's done. Seth said he thinks he knows evil, but this ends now. I don't want to sound like I'm cutting down the entire angle, because this has genuinely been, I would say, as far as Dominic now being involved, interesting. And I'm waiting for them to turn to that next chapter. I really am. I don't know when it's coming. I don't know how it's coming. And at this point, I'm losing interest very quickly. Rollins has been playing his role very good. But I just don't understand what the greater good of Monday Night Raw is. I don't understand why Rey Mysterio needs to be sacrificed. Why is Rey being chosen as the sacrifice on Raw for the greater good? What the fuck does that mean? When you can explain that to me, then I'll find more interest in what's going on here. WWE seems to forget the why. They make it sound good, but then they give it to Rollins and they have him repeat the same promo every single week. If you give me the most important thing in the entire storyline, or any storyline on WWE TV for that matter, any storyline in pro wrestling, why? Why? The why should be the one question you answer, and then you could fill in the blanks leading to that why. Once you answer that question, everything else should be easy. WWE has yet to give us the question as to why regarding all of this. I don't know. And the more I don't know, the more I don't care. So we got an impromptu match. This was Seth and Murphy versus Humberto, Carrillo, and Aleister Black. I'll give you one guess who got pinned here, folks. It wasn't Aleister. It wasn't Seth. It wasn't even Murphy. It was Sing Along With Me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, Humberto! You know, there's, what's the old saying? There's certainties in life. Death, taxes, and a Humberto loss on Monday Night Raw. Great. Didn't we see this match 2 weeks ago on, what was it? 22nd, on the 15th? Didn't we see this match on the June 15th episode of Monday Night? Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this Humberto and Black versus Theory and Murphy? I mean, are they fucking serious? Are they serious? I didn't give a shit about it then. Now you're just rinsing and repeating the same fucking match that we seen 2 weeks ago. With one guy that isn't even there because he's a fucking child abuser. How can I care? Why would I care? Why would I be excited about this tag team match when I see basically the same fucking version of it minus one guy 2 weeks ago? Unreal. Nobody thinks. Oh, JD, all he does is complain. How don't you see what they are doing here? Either that or you're a blithering idiot. Seth and Murphy win. Seth was working over Humberto. Humberto tagged in. He landed a 619. Seth obviously broke up the cover here. Murphy, he landed the 619 on Murphy. Seth broke up the cover. Murphy landed a running knee strike on Humberto for a near fall. Black made a save. Seth landed a flying knee to Humberto on Murphy's shoulders for a near fall, which looked very good. Seth set up for a stomp as Black and Murphy fought at ringside. Humberto rolled up a distracted Seth for a 2 count, but Seth popped up and delivered a stomp to Humberto for the win, giving him yet another loss on Monday Night Raw, as usual. Afterwards, Seth and Murphy threw Black into the timekeeper's area. Then they grabbed Humberto. Seth said that he will have to pay for standing up for Rey Mysterio. Humberto fought back until Murphy hit him with the base of the steel stairs. Seth eyed Rey's mask and put it over Humberto's head, which made Humberto look so much better than without a mask. Just saying. Murphy dragged Humberto over to the ring steps. Rollins was yelling, "Heroes wear masks, heroes wear masks." He said it's just not for his own good, but it's for the greatest good, which, again, I don't know what the fuck that means. He told him not to fight it. Black made the save. Seth, though, broke free and delivered a running stomp to the back of Humberto's head on top of the ringside steps. Seth and Murphy retreated to the stage as Black checked on Humberto, who was knocked out cold from the stomp. And that was that. One additional thing here, folks, and I have to say this. I know I briefly mentioned it last week. I don't know what it is with Aleister Black now. I don't know what they're doing with Aleister Black. Aleister Black standing up for Humberto, you know, it looks ridiculous. It really does. First of all, he's standing next to a fucking loser, number one. Standing next to Humberto does not make Aleister Black look good in any which way. But Aleister Black, remember the days when he was in NXT and he came out and he rose up from the depths and he had all the skulls and he had all the lanterns and the lights down the dark aisleway. He had the smoke and the mist and he had the great theme music and he looked the part, right? He looked great. Came out, he was menacing, he was brooding, he was mysterious. Now he's running down the aisle to his theme music, running alongside Humberto Carrillo. And every time WWE has done that with Aleister Black looks less and less special every single week. It's almost as if he is now what WWE wants him to be. Ordinary. oh, you can't stand out amongst anybody else. We got to bring you down to everybody else's level, and we got to make you ordinary. That's exactly what they did to Aleister Black. And here's the funny thing about Aleister Black. He's got one main roster loss. He has, especially in this current run that he's been on for the last year. He's got one main roster loss against AJ Styles. And even that didn't make any sense. Because that didn't do anything for AJ. And they just sacrificed, like I said when it happened, they sacrificed Black for The Undertaker and AJ Styles match that happened at WrestleMania. He has one pinfall loss on Monday Night Raw. And somehow, this guy has not factored into any championship title picture yet. And with every time he stands next to Humberto and every time he comes out, he looks less and less special. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Drew McIntyre was backstage. He was with Asuka. He told an excited Asuka that she'll have her chance at revenge later. Sarah Schreiber asked what they hope to accomplish tonight. Asuka spoke in Japanese. Drew said what Asuka is saying is that they're going to have a lot of fun tonight. He said Ziggler won't get an advantage over him after tonight. Drew said he's letting Ziggler pick the stip for the horror show. But nobody realizes that we're watching the horror show right now. And we're talking about the horror show right here on the podcast. Letting Ziggler pick the stip. So that is going to happen. And when he beats him, he will have no one to blame but himself. He said Sasha is not ready for Asuka. Asuka was very excited. And they said that they were both going to take care of Sasha and Ziggler tonight. And she said that Ziggler isn't ready for Drew. So we got another Undertaker video package here that lasted well over 5 minutes. Well over 5 minutes. The same thing that we seen on SmackDown, which they filled time for on SmackDown because they had nothing else on SmackDown. So we seen the same thing tonight. I muted my television and I'm just sick and tired of seeing it, to be quite honest with you. Lana walked up to Ruby Riott and said she knows it's hard to not have any friends. Riott told her to leave her alone and move on, because I don't want anything to do with you. Lana said Natalya reminded her of what the women's division is all about. She said Natalya has more wins than Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus, as if that's a way to kind of put her in that category, which kind of doesn't. I don't give a shit how many wins Natalya has. Nobody wants to see Natalya in a top spot in the women's division on Raw or on SmackDown, period. She's a woman we can believe in. What the fuck is she running for Congress? She's a woman we can believe in. I don't believe in the fucking show. I'm going to believe in fucking Natalya. WWE hasn't showed me anything as far as women's wrestling. I'm going to believe in Natalya to make a change, right? You got to be fucking shitting me. So, Ruby Riott was going one-on-one with Peyton Royce. Ruby Riott versus Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce wins in 3 minutes with a spinning brain buster, which almost broke Ruby Riott's neck. That's how bad it looked. Folks, I need somebody to do some investigative work, really, for me. First of all, you've seen it all over Ruby Riott's face. I don't believe I gotta fucking be here. I don't believe I gotta fucking be in the ring with this fucking idiot. I don't believe I gotta lose and put this fucking no-name scrub over. Ruby Riott's face told the entire story tonight, man. She looked like she did not want to be there. You think Liv Morgan was there? Of course not. They didn't even build on what they did last week, so who the fuck knows if that's even going to be a thing? It's like they write one week and then they forget the next and then it's goodbye. Nothing happens anymore. But Ruby Riott, man, I need someone to do some investigative work. When is her contract with World Wrestling Entertainment up? She needs to get the fuck out of there. And I mean now. ASAP. How sad is Ruby Riott's run after returning from injury? Folks, she's 0-11 on the main roster. She's 0-11 on the main roster. Does Ruby Riott deserve that? I don't think so. She needs to be out of there ASAP. Peyton Royce wins. I took a screenshot. I'm going to put it on the podcast. I took a screenshot, folks. And WWE actually tweeted out this, and they say, Name a more iconic duo. And then they put in parentheses, spoiler alert, you can't. Hashtag Raw. And then they added Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. So clearly I had to throw my 2 cents in here. I say, and I quote, the 2 trash cans that still sit outside my house for pickup tomorrow. That's a much more iconic duo than both Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, the Moronics. Give me a break. These 2 deserve to be where the 24/7 title deserves to be, off of television. I don't know why we are being punished with Peyton Royce and Billy Kay on Monday night. They've seen their day in the tag team title hunt. Why are they on TV? I don't know. Man, oh man, tonight's going to be one of those nights, guys. Tonight is going to be one of those nights, and that's why I'm here to save you. I'm here to save you guys. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at Blue Chew. Remember when you guys were always ready to go? I don't know how anybody could be ready to go after a show like we've seen tonight on Raw. Now you guys can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Blue Chew is where it's at, man. BlueChew.com. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You guys can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they are chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you guys can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. Now, forget what Seth Rollins is doing for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. You are going to take advantage of this Blue Chew offer, and you are going to sacrifice yourself for the greater good of what happens in the bedroom, whether it's with your wife or your girlfriend, man. Seriously, take me up on the offer. If you guys could benefit from more confidence in bed, where it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Blue Chew is prescribed by online physicians, so you guys don't even have to go to the doctor's office or wait in line at the pharmacy, and it ships right to your front door in a very discreet package. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy, and best of all, there's no more awkwardness. Right now, I've got a special deal for everybody listening to the Monday Night Raw review right here on Off the Script. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our promo code JD. All you guys have to do is pay the $5 shipping and handling. Guys, that is BlueChew.com, promo code JD to try it for free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, and faster choice, and I want to thank them for supporting the podcast right here on Off the Script. Remember, guys, BlueChew.com, code JD, and be the greater good in the bedroom. Big Show segment number 3 coming on up. Charlie Caruso interviewed Big Show, asked if the Garza and Andrade challenge is a trap because they challenged him to a handicap match, is a trap because Orton is hanging out ready to strike whenever he wants. Show said it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Orton and Flair have a plan. He said he grew up in South Carolina, and when he was 13, Flair was the man. He said he got in wrestling and found out Flair was the dirtiest player in the game. And now Flair is mentoring the Apex Predator, which means Orton is the most dangerous Apex Predator that WWE has ever seen. He said he welcomes the challenge. He said Andrade and Garza picked a bad night to face him because he's not the smiling, happy giant, but the angry giant. Big Show versus Angel Garza and Andrade in a handicap match, and you know they went there, folks. You know they went there, and the Big Show beats both Garza and Andrade in a handicap match. Garza avoided a charging show a few minutes into the match. First of all, they argued on who would go in first, so that took a nice chunk of time away from this thing. Garza then avoided a charging show a few minutes into the match and worked over Show's leg. He stomped away at him before Andrade tagged himself in. Garza was upset, and Andrade shoved him. They started bickering back and forth. Andrade shoved him and said, "It's his moment." Garza walked away and said, "This can be his moment." Show then surprised Andrade with, you guessed it, folks, the choke slam. The choke slam for the win. Show gave Andrade a KO punch afterwards for insult added to the injury. Big Show wins here, folks. Now, I get it. They got to further the storyline with Angel Garza and Andrade. I get it. A lot of people are asking, why? I'm trying to figure this out in WWE's logic. They think that by Garza leaving and leaving Andrade in the ring to lose to Big Show, that they're somehow protecting Andrade. Folks, I don't find that to be protecting Andrade. I don't. Because this was not even needed. First of all, these guys wrestled already. A 12-minute match against the Viking Raiders. There's no reason why they have to go out there again after they just wrestled. This is not protecting Andrade. The Big Show, first of all, did not need 4 segments on this show. This match did not need to take place on Monday night at all. I get you're furthering the dissension between Andrade and Angel Garza, but you just put them back together, and you just had them come out last week and attack the Street Profits. You just had them beat the Viking Raiders earlier in this show, and then you put them together to lose to the Big Show in a worthless handicap match that obviously did not need to take place because the Big Show and Randy Orton are going to wrestle at Extreme Rules. The match is already made. They already have their tension. Flair has been egging Big Show on for the last 2 weeks. Big Show said what he said last week. How on earth does any of this make sense? And how on earth does this further Randy Orton and the fucking Big Show? Why? The dissension here for Garza and Andrade did not need to present itself tonight with the fucking Big Show. It should have presented itself when they actually challenged for the tag team titles. So let's backtrack here. They were the number 1 contenders after beating the Viking Raiders. I'm assuming there's nobody else in the fucking division. They were the number 1 contenders after beating the Viking Raiders tonight on Raw. That match was set up. Then you put them in a handicap match to lose. On paper, all anybody's going to see is Andrade and Garza losing to the Big Show in a handicap match. So you have the Viking Raiders lose only for Garza and Andrade to lose to the Big Show. Does nobody realize now that you just beat your number 1 contenders in a handicap match that didn't need to happen? Does anybody realize that you just sacrificed the Viking Raiders here for Andrade and Garza? They put over Andrade and Garza only for them to lose here. So it even affects the Viking Raiders because they lost for you to do this stupid thing with the Big Show. I don't really understand how anybody can justify what you watched tonight. I really don't. This show seemed like it was booked with eyes closed. Like they didn't give a fuck. I mean, I don't even know how to fucking call this. How does this make sense? Now I'm supposed to believe Garza and Andrade against the Street Profits? Whatever happened tonight in that match should have happened in that tag team title match. Why did it need to be with the Big Show? You think you're trying something funny. You think you're trying something new. You think you're trying something outside the box. Meanwhile, this is a situation where you should have been inside the box. You didn't need to try something new. You didn't have to be different. Stop trying to be different for the sake of being different. This is WWE being different and being fucking stupid at the same time. Awful. Absolutely fucking awful. Backstage, Apollo Crews was chatting with Cedric Alexander. They found him. Ricochet, they found him. R-Truth walked up to them and said he finally got away from Tozawa and the ninjas. Or did I? And he looks at Cedric Alexander. He eyed Cedric. Cedric is not one of the ninjas, he said. Truth said, they have no idea, and walked away. He called Cedric the Entertainer. Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric all laughed at him because he was evading the ninjas. MVP and Lashley made their way down the aisle. Lashley told MVP that before he teaches Cruz a lesson on humility, he should explain why he intends to do this. MVP said when he goes home to Miami, the 305, people ask him how they can escape the hood like he did. He said the success doesn't matter if he doesn't give back. He said that's why it's such an honor and a joy to let him unlock Lashley's limitless potential. He said he felt disrespected when Cruz took a heartfelt offer and rejected it. He said he's been where Cruz has been, riding high on his first title reign, but he won't let him disrespect him. Cruz interrupted and obviously needed to come out with his fucking theme music to address MVP here as MVP is cutting him down. Doesn't make sense. It's the little things that bother me, man. He didn't need to come out with his theme music. I wish that they would change that formulaic, fucking overproduced, scripted garbage. Really. MVP and Cruz now going at it. Cruz interrupted and asked, what is he talking about? He said MVP is a self-made man, but so am I. He told MVP not to give him the speech about giving back because if he cared about anyone but himself, he'd have listened to him when he first turned down his services, but he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. He entered the ring, got in MVP's face, and said the only person he cares about helping is himself. MVP said he will find out that while he didn't want him as a manager, he really didn't want him to be his enemy. I mentioned MVP's been one of the better things on Monday night, but that doesn't mean I want to see him in the ring wrestle. Apollo Crews and MVP. MVP wins in 7 minutes. Lashley distracted Cruz, opened him up for a boot to the face, followed by a fisherman suplex by MVP for the win. So the United States champion loses on Monday night. A distraction finish. And the champion loses. So after the match, Lashley put Cruz in a full Nelson. Ricochet and Cedric ran out to make the save. And we got an impromptu match with Bobby Lashley with MVP versus Ricochet. This was actually very good for 7 minutes, but man, oh man, is Ricochet dead and buried. But he had an incredible 2020, says the WWE Network official Twitter. This was actually very good. Ricochet played his part, but it's sad to see Ricochet play his part because clearly he's playing the part of a loser. Ricochet's playing the part of a jobber, and that's all WWE sees in Ricochet. He did his job well, but he's a fucking loser. Ricochet's a jobber, but he could do his job well as a jobber, and that's what he did here. Lashley wins in 7 minutes. Ricochet played the come-from-behind babyface incredibly well here. There were some spots in this thing where he sold his ass off to make Bobby Lashley, in my eyes, look as good as I've seen him. Bobby Lashley actually looked better in this match than he did in the entire feud with Drew McIntyre. And I don't want to jump the gun, but if WWE continues booking Bobby Lashley like that, like we seen tonight, then I'll have no problem getting behind Bobby Lashley as a legit guy. Just somewhat. So Ricochet did his job. Off the ring post, Ricochet sold for him like you wouldn't believe. Really. So Ricochet shoved Lashley into the ring post, rolled into the ring. Cedric was out there with Ricochet. Cedric yanked MVP, who tried for another distraction, off the ring apron. Ricochet caught Lashley with an enziguri and then a super kick. Lashley caught Ricochet round kick and then slammed him down with a dominator or spine buster. Not a dominator, spine buster. Lashley's ear was bleeding. Now, this must have came off the enziguri. Might have caught him a little too hard. Might have cut him with the leather of his boot. I don't know exactly what happened there, but his ear was bleeding. He yelled out in a very primal-like way. And you seen the blood drip down his ear, and the blood was on his chest, mixing with the sweat. You got to go back and watch the visual of Lashley just with the blood all over his chest from his ear from the enziguri. It looked great. And I will say that looked great. So Lashley's ear was bleeding. Lashley put Ricochet in a full Nelson for the tap out. Lashley put Cedric in a full Nelson after the match, tossing both of them violently to the side. And clearly you see what the goal is. Lashley pushing him hard. MVP, the advocate. Lashley, United States champion. This spells doom for Apollo Crews. And remember when I said weeks ago when he won the United States Championship off of Andrade, let this be a reset. Not only for Apollo, but for the United States Championship. And WWE clearly has done nothing. Nothing with Apollo Crews. They haven't done anything with Apollo. They haven't done anything with the United States Championship. It's right now being kept warm for Bobby Lashley. This is one of those things that Paul Heyman wanted to do, and they wanted to push Apollo Crews on Raw with Paul Heyman in charge. Clearly now Bruce and Vince are in charge, and they never really done anything with Apollo Crews for 5 years until Paul Heyman finally got him on Raw. And now that Paul Heyman's not there, Vince is going to put Apollo back where he belongs in catering. And I hate that I'm saying that, because I think Apollo Crews is right now getting an unfair shot on Raw. He's not really in a position that he deserves to be in. He's losing. And WWE's made it clear who they want the United States Championship on, and it's not Apollo Crews. So that's that. This match was really fun, Lashley and Ricochet. But Ricochet, man, I'm waiting for some fucking clown to tell me, oh, he's not buried. Oh, he's buried. He's been way buried. He ain't coming back from whatever the fuck WWE has done to him this year. He is finished. Ziggler was backstage. He asked Sasha and Bayley to let him take over and be the player coach like Pete Rose. Sasha and Bayley laughed. Sasha said the last time they saw him, he was on SmackDown, losing Mandy to Otis while they were dominating the women's division. Bayley said what Sasha is saying is, don't screw it up for her. Drew McIntyre and Asuka versus Dolph Ziggler and Sasha Banks with Bayley. This was fun. Ziggler and Banks win here. We got Asuka being beat down by Sasha. Clearly, it could only be woman versus woman and male versus male here. Asuka was being beat down by Sasha. She crawls over, makes the hot tag to Drew McIntyre. In comes Ziggler because he needs to. Drew took it to Ziggler. Big overhead tosses. Big top rope clothesline by McIntyre on Ziggler. Drew kipped up. Set up for the future shock DDT. Ziggler escaped. Ziggler tagged in Sasha, who started to yell at Drew. Who do you think you are? This is my show. You may be the champion, but I'm a champion too. You may be the WWE champion, but I am the legit boss. Asuka gets back up. Drew's pointing. Turn around. And Sasha's like, who's behind me? Who's behind me? Turns around. Asuka's right there. Asuka came up from behind Sasha, kicked her in the head, scored a near fall. Ziggler at ringside. Ziggler shoved Drew into the ring post, took him out of the match. Asuka went for the Asuka lock, but Sasha escaped and applied a bank statement. Asuka slipped out. Asuka then went for the Asuka lock again, but Sasha leveraged Asuka's shoulders down for the win. Asuka gets pinned clean. Don't know why. Ziggler and Banks win, and that was the end of Monday Night Raw. I don't really understand the ending here. Like I said before in the beginning, this was a no-win situation for WWE. They clearly had absolutely no plan. You could see the multiple endings on this show. They had no fucking idea what they wanted to do. They wanted to book a show, they wanted to produce a show, and they didn't give a shit what they put into the show. They wanted to go into the Performance Center and get the fuck out of the Performance Center because everybody was bickering and moaning about the fucking COVID shit happening inside the WWE all week. So they taped this show on Saturday, and that's it. But that doesn't give them the fucking right to rush through this shit and then have it not make any sense. Nobody in this match could lose. Nobody. Yet we got Asuka, because fuck Asuka, losing clean to Sasha Banks. Now, that's not the right ending in my eyes. That's not the right ending at all. The right ending would have been for Asuka to lose, but to be distracted upon losing. Setting up Sasha pinning Asuka, setting up Sasha and Io for Wednesday, setting up a situation where Asuka shows up on Wednesday to pay back Bayley and Sasha Banks by having Io take advantage of the distraction against Sasha, pinning Sasha Banks off of a moonsault, then setting up for week 2 of the Great American Bash where it's Asuka and Io versus Bayley and Sasha on NXT. I don't know why I could book that and have it be better than what we've seen tonight, and WWE opted to just say, fuck Asuka, we're going to have her lose clean to Sasha Banks. I don't really get this show. This ain't it. This ain't it. This show is filled with logic gaps everywhere, and it's being written by people that just don't give a shit. And I don't want to hear the excuse, oh, they're shorthanded, oh, they don't have as many people there, they got half of the roster home, or half the roster sick, or half the roster didn't want to come in because of COVID, this and that. I don't give a shit. You're putting on television. That doesn't give you the fucking right to put on television and have it be shitty fucking television. You're booking 3 hours of my fucking time on Monday. You're not doing the show right if this is the fucking product and the end result. You're putting on a show, you're open to criticism. You put on a show this bad, you're definitely open to criticism. I hope, when the ratings come out on Tuesday, that this show is below 1.8. I wouldn't even give it that. It don't even deserve a 1.8. Monday Night Raw is absolutely fucking insufferable garbage. Nobody can sit there and justify anything going into Extreme Rules. The only thing that's going to come out of Extreme Rules that I'm genuinely interested in is Sasha Banks and Asuka. And even that doesn't even make any sense because Sasha Banks is not a Raw superstar. All that says is WWE refuses to push anybody not named Sasha, Becky, Bayley, and Charlotte. Asuka sometimes. Asuka sometimes. Everybody else, fuck them. If you ain't those four, forget about it. She ain't even on Monday Night Raw. She don't even deserve to be in contention for the Raw Women's Championship because she is a SmackDown superstar. I don't know, man. I'm tired of complaining. I'm sweating my balls off here. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'll see you guys back on Wednesday with Jesse for AEW Dynamite. Make sure you guys go and check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. Links are down below. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Leave a 5-star rating if you can on the iTunes podcast. I'll shout you out on the AEW Dynamite review, and I'll shout you out on Off the Script this coming weekend. And if you guys want, check out Blue Chew, BlueChew.com. Use code JD and become the superstar of the bedroom. Do it for the greater good of the bedroom. BlueChew.com. That is code JD at checkout. Guys, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite Fighter Fest with my boy Jesse. We'll talk about it. See you guys then.